the desktop. Okay, and here it is. And this should look fairly familiar if you've been around and watched me do the OBS Studio one. Okay, there's some very similar things. You have a big window up here, which is called the editor, where you'll see what is potentially going to go out to the stream, depending on whatever you see on that window goes out. So right now it's a black screen. It's going to send nothing. It's not even really black. It's just that's, you know, the nothing. Down here you have scenes, you have sources, and then you have an audio mixer. Very similar things that we saw before. And then there used to be like this set of buttons over here in OBS Studios. Those don't really exist here. They kind of exist over here on the side, okay? And we're going to kind of go over a few of those in a little bit. Down here is the gear icon. This is the settings gear, basically, down here. Also, if you see these little arrows, they're kind of like pop-outs. So if you click this, you can actually see what it says if you want to look at it with actual words. But you might not always want to take up that much space, and so if you get used to the buttons, you know what they're doing. So over here is kind of your stuff. Here's your editor. That's this thing here. Okay, we're going to go into a lot of these things. But the first thing we're going to talk about is settings. And this is going to look very similar to the OBS Studio here. You'll have your general. Multi-streaming is something that's kind of nice and built into this, but you need to upgrade it to allow it to do this. And then you can basically pick which service you're going to. And as you can see, I'm logged into my Twitch as West Tennessee Dave, right? But it has built-in stuff for Facebook, for Instagram, for Kick, for TikTok, Trove, X, YouTube, all these things you can link to, okay? And then you basically choose. But you generally only are logged in at one time unless you're going to do the multi-streaming, okay? Output over here, we've kind of gone through this. You can see all those settings that we talked about in over in OBS Studios. They're very similar, but I do want to make a correction that I said before. One of the things I said before is use the variable bitrate. According to the documentation, you should use constant bitrate, and I've gone back and kind of changed that. So choose a constant bitrate. 1080p at 30 frames per second is 4500. Look it up online if you're going to have a different size, but this is the best one to use. The rest of these are kind of standard and the same. We go through our audio, and I've talked about this kind of very in detail. Don't use desktop audio device or standard microphone if you don't want it to just auto send all kinds of sounds to your stream that may happen on your computer, like a Windows Bing or your Discord sounds or your Discord notifications, email notifications if you have them, anything. Like, you just don't want to send desktop audio specifically, typically. And then on your video here, this looks very similar to the OBS Studio. You have your canvas here. How big is this black screen going to be that's sending images out? It doesn't have to be that big on your computer, but it's going to mirror whatever this resolution is of the canvas. So I have 1920 by 1080. That's called 1080p, and I don't downscale it. I think that's a waste of a lot of resources, so don't do that. 30 frames per second is plenty for just chatting people like myself, for poker players, for anyone that's not doing like maybe some super gaming that you need all the frames per second. In fact, you could probably get away with even less if you really needed to. Advanced, you'll have to research all these things if you want to change them. One thing I will note here, this is in both systems, but if you're ever needing it, you'll want to, is right here where it says stream delay. If you ever want to do a delayed stream because you're like a poker player or you have some kind of game that needs to be delayed and not sniped, then this is where you put it in. You tell it how long you want your delay to be here, and you must enable it. Okay? And the longer your delay is, the more memory it's going to use on your computer, so make sure you have a computer that can handle it.